Welcome to Connected Through Change. Men supporting menopause, two voices, one journey. Your host is Russell Betts, author of the international best-selling book, The Good Husband's Guide to Menopause, and founder of the Connected Through Change movement. Each week, you'll hear both the men's and women's perspectives, so you can understand what's really happening beneath the surface and learn how to stay steady, supportive, and connected through one of life's biggest transitions. If you want clarity, confidence, and a stronger relationship during menopause and beyond, you're in the right place. Let's begin.
It's a Tuesday night, or maybe it's a Saturday morning, the kind where the light is hitting the coffee mugs just right, the house is quiet, and on paper, everything is fine. There hasn't been a fight in weeks. No one slammed a door. No one forgot an anniversary. The logistics of your life, the mortgage, the kids' schedules, the grocery list, it's all moving like a well-oiled machine. And yet, something is wrong. You're sitting across from the person you love, the person who knows you better than anyone else on the planet, and you feel emphasis far away. It's not the distance of miles, it's the distance of a ghost. You reach out to say something, but the words feel heavy, or maybe just unnecessary, so you swallow them. You look at them and you wonder if they feel it too, or if you're just making it up. If someone asked you, "How are things going?" you'd say, "Good. We're good." And you'd mean it. But when you're alone in the quiet of your own head, there's this low-frequency hum of unease, a feeling that something is off. Welcome to the first episode of our series, When Something Feels Off, But Nothing is Wrong. I want to start by acknowledging how lonely this specific place is. When there is a crisis, when there is an affair, or a screaming match, or a massive financial blow, people know what to do. The world has a script for that. You call a therapist. You call a lawyer. You cry to your best friend. There's a thing to point at. But what do you do when the problem is invisible? What do you do when the thing isn't a fire, but a slow creeping fog? Usually, what we do is we gaslight ourselves. We tell ourselves we're being dramatic. We look at our partner, who is, by all accounts, a good person, a hard worker, a steady presence, and we feel guilty for feeling disconnected. We think, I have no right to feel this way. Other people are dealing with real problems. I'm just being ungrateful. I want to invite you to stop that for just a moment. I want to invite you to stop trying to talk yourself out of your own intuition. In this series, we aren't going to talk about how to fix your marriage. We aren't going to look at communication hacks or 5-step plans to intimacy, because you can't fix something until you can name it. And right now, what we're dealing with is a ghost. We're dealing with the emphasis, subtle relational drift. Think about a ship leaving a harbor. If the navigator is off by just 1 degree, just one tiny imperceptible click on the compass, it doesn't matter for the first mile. You look back and you can still see the dock. You look at the water and everything looks normal. But if you sail for a week or a month or a year at that 1 degree variance, you don't end up where you intended. You end up in a completely different ocean. Relational drift doesn't start with a explosion. It starts with the 1 degree moments. It's the moment you had a weird interaction at work and you almost texted your partner, but then you thought, I don't want to explain the whole backstory. It'll take too long. And you put the phone away. It's the moment they made a joke that stung a little bit, and instead of saying, ow, you just laughed it off because you didn't want to ruin the mood. It's the way you've started anticipating their reaction before you even speak, so you edit your truth until it's a sanitized version of yourself. None of these moments are wrong. None of them are bad, but they are the data points of a drift. The most painful part of this drift is the silence that grows between you. Not a hostile silence, a polite silence. Have you noticed how you started talking more about logistics and less about life? You talk about who is picking up the kids and what's for dinner and when the plumber is coming. You are great co-workers. You are world-class co-parents. Why? You are a high-functioning domestic unit. But when was the last time you felt like you truly saw them? And more importantly, when was the last time you felt truly seen by them? Deep down, there is a fear. It's the fear that if you actually named this feeling, if you sat down and said, I feel like we're drifting, you might break the fragile peace you've worked so hard to maintain. You worry that naming the offness will turn it into a wrongness. So you stay quiet, you keep the peace, but it's a hollow peace. It's a peace that requires you to leave a part of yourself at the door every time you walk into the room. I want to share a story with permission about a couple I know. Let's call them Sarah and Mark. On the surface, Sarah and Mark were the gold standard. They'd been married 12 years. They navigated job changes and moves with total grace. They never fought, not once. Sarah came to me because she felt like she was losing her mind. She said, I love him. He's my best friend. But I feel like I'm living with a polite stranger. I find myself staying late at the office just so I don't have to go home and do the, how was your day? Fine. How was yours? Dance. There's nothing to complain about, which makes me feel like I'm the problem. When I talked to Mark, he said something fascinating. He said, I feel like I'm walking on eggshells, but I don't know where the shells are. I feel like she's already judged me for something I haven't done yet, so I just stay in my lane. I do the dishes. I do my work. I try not to get in the way. Do you hear the tragedy in that? Two people, both trying to be good, both trying not to cause trouble, and both ending up completely alone in the same house. They weren't fighting because they weren't close enough to fight. Conflict requires contact. You have to be close enough to bump into each other to have friction. When you drift far enough away, the friction stops. It feels peaceful, but it's actually the peace of a vacuum. There's no air left to breathe. If you're listening to this and your chest feels a little tight, or if you're nodding your head while you drive, I want you to know that this recognition is the first step toward clarity. We've been taught that as long as there's no wrong, everything must be right. But humans are more complex than a binary switch. Life happens in the in-between. Most of our relational life is lived in the subtle signals, the unspoken expectations, and the quiet withdrawals. Why does it feel so threatening to acknowledge this? Because we live in a culture that demands fixed energy. If you say something is wrong, everyone around you wants to give you a book to read, a date night idea, or a communication exercise. They want to rush you toward a resolution because your discomfort makes them uncomfortable. But I'm not going to do that here. In fact, I'm going to ask you to stay in this discomfort for a little while. I want you to look at that off feeling not as a failure and not as a sign that your relationship is doomed, but as a sophisticated internal alarm system. Your nervous system is picking up on something. It's noticing the 1-degree shift. It's noticing that the bridge between you and your partner is becoming a little frayed, even if cars are still driving over it. If you ignore that alarm because you can't see the fire, you lose the chance to protect what you've built. This week, I'm not asking you to have a big talk with your partner. I'm not asking you to change anything. I am only asking you to notice. Notice the moments where you choose to pull back instead of lean in. Notice the moments where you feel a flash of loneliness while they are sitting right next to you. Notice the way you talk to them. Is it the voice of a lover or the voice of a project manager? Don't judge it. Don't try to fix it. Just see it. Because we cannot navigate a landscape we refuse to map. Relational clarity begins when we stop lying to ourselves about the peace we've created. It takes a tremendous amount of courage to say, I am unhappy, even though I have everything I'm supposed to want. It takes courage to admit that fine isn't enough. You aren't being ungrateful. You aren't being difficult. You are being human, and your relationship is a living thing. It needs more than just the absence of conflict to survive. It needs presence. Over the next few weeks, we are going to walk through this together. We're going to look at why this happens, how we get lost in the logistics, and what lies beneath that feeling of being off. But for today, just let the truth be the truth. If it feels off, it's because it is. Think about that tonight. Not with panic, just with curiosity. What is your 1 degree drift telling you?
Thanks for joining us on Connected Through Change. Remember, it takes 2 voices to walk 1 journey, and you don't have to navigate this alone. To go deeper, grab Russell's international best-selling book, The Good Husband's Guide to Menopause. Explore the weekly blog or take the communication clarity assessment at connectedthroughchange.com. Stay steady, stay connected, and I'll see you in the next episode.